Imagine bullying someone for not being yours. Oh, you're not smart.
Did you do yours? Three of them in a row.
Morning, Mr. C.
Good morning.
What did you do? 68 indeed. No, it should go up. 68 is the any questions. I didn't know. Hopefully, if you
Make sure you put that away.
So I have to switch seats apparently.
No.
Sierra said she was talking to you and she was said you switched.
Would you mind sitting somewhere else?
Huh?
Would you mind sitting somewhere else?
Yes.
What?
Yes, I would.
All right. Hey, I asked you to put that away.
I think I work just fine up there.
I think so too. All right. Where's Tristan today?
He's here.
All right. Sit next to Sarah today, and I'll talk to Sierra, make sure she's not there. All right, find your seats. Hey, Rowan, put it away. All right, everybody get out your homework, please. All right. Questions on the homework? Questions on the homework? Okay, I can't help if you guys are too loud. You guys are too loud. All right, so the question was on the last one, and that's a factoring one. So 38 starts off with 22, y to the fourth, minus 33, y to the third. Why is Tristan so late? Okay. Minus, or the plus 11y squared. Okay. In the factoring mode, step number one is we look at the coefficients. And we ask ourselves, what goes into 20, the biggest number, that goes into 22, 33, and 11? 11. So I write an 11, right? And then I look, is there a y in everything? Okay. I pick the y that's the lowest power. I got a 4, a 3, and so I pull out a y squared. Okay. I put an open parentheses, and then I do basically multiplication. What times 11 is 22? 2. So I put 2. What times y squared is y to the fourth? What times y squared is y to the fourth? 2 plus 2 is 4. You have known that? Okay. What times 11 is negative 33? Negative 3, not 3. Hey, please stop. What times y squared is y to the third? Exponents, but I'm multiplying the coefficients. Because remember, the rule for multiplying with variables is you add the exponents. So y to the, what plus 2 is 3? What plus 2 is 3? Right, so y to the first. Now just be careful with that. I just said that kind of offhandedly. For the coefficients we're multiplying, what times 11 is 22? 2. But for the variables and their exponents we're adding, what plus 2 is 4? 2. When I said it the first time, I said what times y squared is y to the fourth. But remember, when you multiply with exponents, you add them. So, you know, paradoxically, we think about adding when we're multiplying. Last one, what times 11 is 11? 1. and it's a positive 1, so there's nothing wrong with putting a 1 there. What times y squared is y squared? So it's just plain 1 and you're done. Okay? Everybody see what I did? Okay. All right, let's grade this. Here we go. 2 through 20 even. So it was not completely separate, 2 separate ideas. One where you're reducing a fraction, one where you're factoring. All right, so 2 through 20, we're reducing the fraction. Number 2 is 2x minus 3. Number 4, 3c plus 5. Number 6, where's your work, Aiden? Where's your work?
Your head.
All right, yeah. Number 6, 3a plus 5b. Obviously, the comment that I would make to him is,
Show you where.
yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, but
Because if you get them wrong, then you can see what your mistake
there's
was.
work involved for all of these. You've got to do some work. 6 was 3a plus 5b. Number 8, 3m minus 2. Number 10, x squared minus 4x minus 6. Number 12, 2u to the second, or 2u squared, plus 5u minus 3. Number 14, negative 9m squared minus 12m plus 6. 16.
I have a question.
Yep.
Oh, wait, never mind.
16, 2a minus 3b. 18, 2c to the second minus 4d to the second minus 5.
Wait, how is it b in the second? You do,
3 minus 1 is 2. You have the problem written down?
is it, okay, so it's
Yep.
6 b minus 12 c d.
So I'm looking at just that middle term, the minus 12 cd to the third.
Yeah.
You got 3 d's on the top, 1 on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Okay. Number 20, 6p to the second. This is the one we did in class, by the way. 6p to the second minus 9pq plus 3q squared. I will not put p's and q's on a test. They're just too hard for dyslexic people. All right, 32. So it's 6 times the quantity. That's how you say 6 times parentheses, 6 times the quantity. 6 times the quantity, 3x minus 2y plus 6. 34, 7c times the quantity, 2c squared minus 3. 36, 2ab times the quantity, ab plus 5. 38, it's on the board. 11y squared times the quantity, 2y squared minus 3y plus 1. All right. Yesterday's class was an introduction to factoring. We're going to do lots of factoring this year. Lots of factoring. We're going to take one break, and that's today. And we're going to revisit a skill that doesn't seem to have anything to do with factoring, yet it has a big thing to do with factoring. So today we're going to kind of revisit some stuff that we've already done. And you're going to probably question, well, why am I doing this, right? Why do I have to try to do this in my head instead of actually doing the calculation? Kind of the opposite of what I literally just said. Today I don't want to see work. I just want to see if you can do it in your head. And you're going to question, why in the world would I want to do this? It has something to do with factoring. Okay? All right. VH, grab one of those empty baskets, the one that has the Algebra 1 in it. And then Julie, give her a hand, pass them out and collect them. All right. Hey, I noticed a few of you did not do your homework, or if you did do your homework, you sat there and you didn't grade it. You just kind of stared at the walls. All right. Hey, you got to practice Algebra 1. You got to do the homework. You got to get this done. All right, homework tonight, quiz next, tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll start off with assembly, normal assembly. Then we'll do periods 1 through 4. You will have a place to go. I'll put somebody in charge of the 9th grade, and they'll walk you around to the right. It's going to be different classrooms than you normally go to. every classroom will have a speaker in it. The speaker will talk about their current career, how they got there, what did they do, what their schooling was like, what it was like for them to go from high school to college or trade school, what it looked like. Okay, you're going to get 4 of these in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th period, we're all going to go to the gym, and it's going to be 9th graders against 10th graders volleyball. Ooh. Right? All right. You got Landon. He's tall as a tree. Right?
Landon does not know.
Useless.
No offense, Landon. He's a good.
All right. Well, then you guys are going to lose. All right. Once that's all of 5th period is a volleyball game. Then you're going to go to lunch, and then in the afternoon until 2 o'clock, you're going to sit in the gym. And Miss Hammond, our college counselor, is going to give you a class on what does it look like in high school to get ready for college and career, meaning like what you should be doing freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. What does the college application if you're going to college look like? What does it look like if you're going to trade school? All of that stuff. We're not going to be able to give you an example of everything. Hey, I want to be I don't know, a lion tamer or something like that. What school do I go to? Nothing like that. This is to start the conversation between you and your parents, you and your teachers, you and the college counselor of what you should be doing right now as a freshman to get ready for 3 years from now when all of a sudden, and no, the option isn't available for you to sit in your parents' basement and watch Netflix for the rest of your life. Right. All right, Julie had her hand up the longest. What's up, Julie? You can't find what? Somebody was already passing them out, I thought. Oh, there are no papers today. That's why. I'm sorry, Julie.
What? What?
All right. All right, Rowan. So the learning that we would like to take place is 2 main things. Number 1, college. We absolutely want you to start thinking about.
So like no math.
Yeah, none of that stuff. But there is math in the sense of, for some of you, it might be a wake-up call, a personal story. So my parents were certainly not rich, but we weren't poor. But my parents had always told me, like, no, we're not paying for your college. You got to figure that out yourself.
That's why you went to the Army.
I never figured it out. I never figured it out. Not once did I ever sit down and say, okay, I knew I wanted to go to college, but I never said, well, how much does college cost? And how in the world am I going to get that much money to pay for it? So my senior year, if I've told you this story, I apologize. My senior year, I'd already been accepted at a really good college. I had no money to pay for it. And I turned 18 in March, and this was right a day or a week after I had turned 18, and I was in the library at lunch, because I never ate lunch. The library had air conditioning, and this was in Alabama, and none of the classrooms had air conditioning, so I wasn't going to hang out anywhere but where there was an air conditioning. And I was in there reading a magazine, and my buddy came in and said, because I had a car, and he goes, hey, can you give me a ride after school? And I'm like, sure, where do you need to go? He goes, I'm going to the Army recruiter. And I said, what for? And he goes, well, I'm signing up for the Army today. And I was like, why? And he goes, well, because they're going to pay for my college. And I was like, they do that? And I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing. I literally, on the spot, I decided, like, within 5 seconds of him saying that, I was like, well, actually, I asked him, I said, well, how many years do you have to do? He goes, I don't know, it's 2 or 3 years, and then they'll pay for all my colleges. And I go, any college? He goes, yeah, any college. I was like, oh, that's a good deal, right? I didn't really think it through that fully, but, you know, the fact that I didn't have a plan, I'm not saying I was ever forced to join the Army, but I will say this, my lack of planning reduced my choices. So literally that day we walked to the recruiter's office, and he didn't have to sell us anything. We were like, sign us up. And he was like, well, let me tell you, like, no, sign us up right now. So that day we didn't technically sign up that day, but we filled out all the paperwork, and well, the rest is history. I finally went to college, but it took 23 years to go to college. Right. So after I finished the Army is when I went to college. I went to college when I was 40 years old. 40. And so yeah. Anyway, that's my story. But so the two things that we would like you to do is, one, start that process of, I'm not saying you got to go to college, right? Many of you or most of you will. But what I'm saying is that if you're like me and you put off those decisions until it's too late, then you will be forced to make some decisions you may or may not be happy with. I'm not saying the military is a horrible, for me it was the best choice. And it turned out for me the best choice. I'm way different than if I had gone to college, I guarantee you I probably would have failed out because my parents wouldn't have been there to say, study, do your homework, that sort of thing. When I was 40, right, I had self-control and I was able to, oh, yeah, I'm going to go home and study. I was surrounded by kids freshman year, college, that were there to just party, right? And then sophomore year, guess what? They weren't there because they failed, right? Or they were retaking the classes and I was moving on type thing. But we want you to start that process of thinking. And then a two, I mean, it's kind of interesting in the sense of you get to hear a whole bunch of possibilities. Like, I did not even consider many jobs when I was your age. It was like I wanted to either be a pilot or I wanted to be a nuclear engineer or I wanted to be an electrical engineer or something like that when I was your age. You know, for me, that didn't really enter in too much of my thought process. But I will say all the jobs I picked did have, you know, high paying potential. Yeah, that definitely needs to be part of the process of, you know, can I afford to be, you know, this person? So if you decide to be an artist and you have no talent, sure, it's probably not a good choice, right? If you have great talent, then maybe an artist is a good choice.
I mean, even if you have great talent, it takes so much time.
And even if you have great talent, that doesn't mean you'll ever be discovered. You may have a life of poverty for the rest of your life. You play mean guitar and you never get discovered, right? If you are a good computer programmer, you will get a good job. If you are a good singer, well, you're going to be, it's tough, right? For that particular one. I'm not a professional anything on that, so you have to.
You get scanned by big corporation companies. If you're from the city, you get scanned.
That can also happen.
A lot.
All right, so here we go. Today's class is a revisit of something we've already done, which is multiply binomials. We've already done that. In fact, you took a quiz on it. Mentally. Okay. This skill of being able to do this in your head, listen please. This skill of being able to do this in your head will come to play when we do factoring here in a class or two. Oh, by the way, homework tonight is due on Monday. Okay. Well, you were supposed to copy down as I was talking.
Oh, wait. I found a treasure hunt. Can we do it after?
No. All right, I need you to put your mask on then. Piper, you too. Chris, you too.
Oh, mine is in the gym crate.
Porter, you too.
I forgot mine in the gym crate.
Yours too.
Can I go get it? Mine.
No, we're not going to run. What?
I'm not going to be here at all next week.
Okay.
So,
You need to copy down all your homework. You need to go on Microsoft Teams and you need to watch all the classes every day. All right, up here, please. Up here. Okay. So I'm going to try to show you how this is done in your head. However, if you can't do it, this is a process that you will work towards. Trust me when I say eventually you'll be able to do this in your head. Maybe today's not that day. Back in chapter 4, last chapter, we already took a quiz and a test on this. We multiplied two binomials. For a binomial are two terms separated by addition and subtraction. Binomial, binomial. When we multiply a binomial times a binomial, I gave you two basic techniques. I saw both of you use, and I did show you a third, right? Foil. I saw on the test when I graded it, people either did this, the distributive property, or they stacked them. And those were the two techniques I showed you. I'll show you both of them again. Okay, keep the noise down, please. When you multiply a binomial times a binomial, you have some options. And depending upon how you like to do this, that's what you do. All right, so these were the three methods, the distributive property, the vertical method, and I did show you FOIL at the end. Using the distributive method, we start with 3, and we draw two sets of arrows. Right? The 3 to the x, and the 3 to the 4. We do that math. 3 times x is 3x. The second arrow, 3 times 4 is 12. Now I draw my arrows underneath, then I do x times x, and x times 4. Okay, I'm going to claim that you can do this in your head. Okay, the issue with this is the speed at which it can be done. Can be done quickly. For some of you, you can do it right now. I saw it on the test because Anna didn't have any work on her test. She just wrote the answer. I already know she's doing it in her head, right? Others of you stacked them or you did this. What's 4x and 3x? And notice that these always, there's nothing to group these two with ever. So the issue is, if you want to do this in your head, what you really need to do is you need to find this and this, right? Where does this come from, this 3x?
3x came from 3.
Comes from the inside. Where does this come from?
3.
It comes from the
yeah.
outside. So if you want to do this in your head, the x squared always comes from these two multiplied together, and it never adds to anything. So if you want to do this in your head, you do this times this, and you write the answer. Where does the last thing come from, this 12? It comes from the last things multiplied together. This is the FOIL. 3 times 4 is 12, so you can already have that written down. The only thing that you ever have to worry about are the ones that you group together. And that's 3x plus 4x. And I can do that in my head pretty quickly. 3x and 4x is, so I can write x squared plus 7x plus 12. Now, granted, I'm doing that quickly in my head, but you will be able to do this as well, too. It's a little bit more harder to do if you like the vertical method to figure out what happens, but let me try to show you. If you stack these, now the problem is going to be written like this. So mentally, if you like the vertical method, you got to be able to stack them vertically in your head, and it's kind of, I mean, it's too much to ask. The horizontal, or I should say the distributive method, is a little bit easier to do it mentally. But if you are doing the vertical method, this gives you the last number, this gives you your first number, and your middle number is this times this, plus this times this.
That's too much work.
So let's see. The first number comes from this. What do we get? What do we get when we multiply? Okay. What the last number comes from right here? What do we get? -4. We're not adding, we're multiplying. The middle term comes from this plus this. That's -3x. That's positive 8x. 8x minus 3x is 8x minus 3x is 5x. So I get 6x squared plus 5x minus 4, and we're done. Now, we're doing all of that mentally. The issue with the vertical method is, like I said, you got to be able to do that in your head. I find the horizontal or the distributive property easier. Watch me do it. 2x times 3x. -1 times positive 4. Inside would give me -3x. Outside would give me a positive 8x. 8x minus 3x gives me 5x. That's how the mental process is done. Why in the world am I asking you to do something without work when I just called Aiden out on his homework because he didn't do any work? The issue is this is going to come to play when we do this thing called factoring, which I'm not showing you today. Okay? So how do you get good at this to be able to do it mentally? It's just a whole bunch of practice. So grab your books. Grab your books. And grab your books.
Are you just doing your homework?
No, we're going to do a bunch together for practice. Okay? Grab your books. All right? We're going to go to page 201. And we're going to do many of these. Right? They're also written on the board because I knew some of you would have been lazy and didn't bring your books to the board. Okay, so the questions are already on the board right here. So grab a piece of paper. We're going to do as many of these as we can mentally. And yes, Sierra, you're going to be doing some of these. This is not your homework, right? No, this isn't your homework. Homework is the written exercises. Okay. All right. There are 18 problems. What's a reasonable amount that we want to do before we start our homework? Don't say 2. 18 would be nice. I'd love for us to do 18. How about we do half of them? 9. Now, the goal here is to do the whole thing without any scratch work. So we're going to do that. I'm going to walk you through each one. Rowan gets to pick. Which one are we doing first? We're going to do number 1 first. So grab your pencils. Let me walk you through it. Here's how you do it mentally. The first one will always come from the first things multiplied together. X times x is?
X squared.
So you're right, equals x squared. The last thing always comes from the last things multiplied together. What's the last things multiplied together?
3.
So you put, and make sure you put plus 3. See how that's done? I'm doing this mentally. I'm writing the answers down. The middle term comes from the middle added to the outer. The middle gives me what? The outer gives me 3x and 1x is 3x plus 1x is positive 4x, and we're done. You just did your first one in your head. Notice, we didn't do anything other than write the answer. This is called mentally multiplying binomials. All right.
That one was.
Mike, pick one. Doesn't matter which one you pick. We're going to do number 5. Once again, here are the steps. You multiply the first together. What do you get?
3s.
The first.
S squared. S squared.
You're right. You get s squared. So write s squared. Looks like a 5, but it's an s.
6s.
The last thing comes from the last things multiplied together. What do you get?
18.
Positive 18. So you put plus 18. Now here's the hardest step. It's the middle. The middle comes from the middle added to the outer. The middle is negative 6s. Can you see that? The outer is negative 3s. What's negative 6s and a negative 3s? Negative 6s and a negative 3s gives you negative 9s, and you're done. It's not impossible. You can do this.
It was shown on that.
All right. Pick one. Doesn't matter. 18. Same process. The first number comes from the first thing multiplied together. By the way, these are written backwards. It's okay. 5 times 1 is? So we write a 5. The last thing comes from the last things multiplied together. Negative 5x times negative x. Negative 5x times negative x.
Positive 6x.
We're multiplying, we're not adding. Negative 5x times negative x. What's a negative times a negative? What's 5 times nothing, or 5 times 1?
5.
What's 6 times x? So we get plus 5x squared. Remember, this one's written backwards. That's why it looks backwards. The middle one is the hard one. You got to be able to do 2 things at once. That's going to give me negative. The middle terms would give me negative
25x.
negative 25x, and the outer ones would give me
Negative 1.
negative 1x. Negative 25x minus 1x is
24x.
negative 26x.
But that's not in the right order.
And it's okay.
It doesn't have to be the right order.
Well, notice how the binomial is written. The binomial is written backwards, so therefore the answers will be
So it
written
doesn't
backwards.
matter.
Okay, we said we're going to do 9 of these. If you're sitting here doing nothing, you're not doing your job.
Number 6.
Let's do number 6. Once again, this one's written backwards, so the answer's going to look backwards.
So.
Okay, the first number comes from the first things multiplied together. 7 times 4 is?
28.
We write 28 equals 28. It will just be written backwards. It's okay. The last number comes from the last things multiplied together.
K
Negative
squared.
k times negative k is?
Negative k squared.
Negative times a negative is a positive, so plus k squared.
I did say. Oh, yeah.
The middle one is the hard one. You got to do 2 things, and it's mental. The middle terms, negative k times 4 is
4k.
negative 4k, and the outer would give me negative 7k. So negative 7k minus 4k,
3.
negative 7k minus 4k,
2.
Negative 11k.
minus 11k.
Yeah. That's yeah. Okay.
There's 4.
7.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. Who's completely and totally lost?
I don't
Okay.
understand how you multiply the middle parts.
Right, so on the trinomial, right, to get the middle term of the trinomial, meaning the answer, the middle thing of the answer is the sum of the middle 2 terms multiplied or added to the outer 2 terms multiplied together. So on number 6, we're multiplying 7 times negative k. Into that, we will add the middle ones, which are negative k times 4. So we get negative 7k plus negative 4k, that's negative 11k.
Okay, that
All
makes
right,
more
Ari,
sense.
you pick one. Let's do number 3. Oh, they're in the right order this time. So Ari, this is the drill, and it doesn't change. Multiply the first thing together. What do you get? So you're right, equals t squared. Very good. Then you multiply the last things together. Because a negative times a negative is a negative. It's plus 6. Okay? The middle term of the trinomial is the hardest one. It comes from the middle 2 things multiplied together by the outer 2 things. I said that backwards. The middle 2 things added to the outer 2 things multiplied together. The middle 2 things are negative 2 and a t. Negative 2 times t is, and the outer t times negative 3 is. So this is the trick. The middle one is always 1. The first one you got negative 2t, and the second one you got negative 3t. Add those, and that's what the middle is. Perfect. This is a skill. The first time you were exposed to multiplication tables, it was, tough. The first time you're asked to do this mentally, it's tough. Okay. We've done so far 5. We said we're going to do 9. Haley, pick one. Yeah. Let's do number 4. Here's the pattern, Kaylee. Multiply the first ones. So we write equals u to the second. Then we multiply the last things. Plus 4. Plus 4. Negative times negative is positive. Okay? The middle one is the hard one. Some of you will still might have to write some scratch work. You get that by the middle 2 things multiplied together plus the outer 2 things multiplied together. These 2 multiplied together would be negative 4u, and the outer ones would be, and then you got to keep both those in your head. So this is a challenge. So it's negative 4u minus 1u, and that would give you. So if I write it like that, we got no issues, right? So maybe that's what we do. Okay. So negative 5u. There's 5. Oh, there's 6. Sorry. Aiden, pick one.
17.
Let's do 17. First things multiplied together, what do we get? 3r squared. Good job. 3r squared. Last 2 things multiplied together. Last 2 things.
2r.
Positive times a negative.
R positive 2r. Or negative.
I'm doing a 1 times negative 2.
Oh, 2.
1 times negative 2.
2. I don't know.
It's a negative.
Positive times a negative. Negative. Right?
Because different is not good.
Correct.
And
All right. All right. So the hardest one is the middle term. You get that from the 2 middles multiplied together. 1 times r is, and then the outer multiplied together.
6r.
Negative 6r. So negative 6r plus 1r.
7r. Negative 7r.
Opposite signs. Different means
5r.
this means you subtract.
Oh.
5r squared.
More negatives and more positives.
5.
More negative.
So negative 5r.
Wait. Oh wait. Yeah.
Yes? Piper, pick one. Okay, let's do 10. Piper, you multiply the first things.
1s.
What?
No, s is second.
Okay, very good. You multiply the last things together.
9.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Because a positive times a
Negative.
so minus 9. Very end. Now this is what you got to keep track in your head. It's the middle, which will give you
3s.
negative times positive, negative 3s, and the outer.
Positive
What's 3s minus 3s?
3. 0.
We actually got a 0. Here's your first one. We're going to explore this on Monday. There's no middle term. It's just s squared minus 9. We're going to explore this on Monday. S squared minus 9. Okay? All right. Order, pick one.
11.
What?
11.
Let's do number 11. Order. The first things multiplied together. Okay? Equals y squared. Last things multiplied together. Positive 4. Middle plus outer. That's going to give us
4y.
2 times y. Oh, you give me the final answer. Yeah, yeah. 2 times y is 2y. Y times 2 is 2y. 2y plus 2y is a positive 4y. There you go. Is that it? All right. Your confidence will build the more of these you do. Tonight for homework, I forget how many I gave you, but
21.
so there's a lot, right? We got 15 minutes left. My claim is you can do 21 in 15 minutes, right? Each one we can do in 30 seconds or less. Question? Say again?
So, am I doing this correctly?
All right, so the remainder of the time, Chris, what are we going to be doing? Right, so we're going to do homework until the next bell rings, right? Hopefully that was the last bell for that, otherwise you're going to fire at me. Good. All right. Which one? U squared, that would be a negative 10, that would be a positive, so minus 3, perfect. I just looked at Riley's paper, and there's not a shred of scratch work on her paper. All there are answers. That's the goal, is to be able to do this. What?
Okay, Dan.
Right. Haley, any questions?
Can I?
When he comes back. Sierra, which one are you on right now? Yeah.
17.
I'm all done.
If you're trying to copy down next week's homework, it's not posted yet. Hit me up tomorrow, and I'll give you.
Mr. C.
He's not getting COVID. He's going hunting apparently.
Mr. C.
Yes, Haley.
So for the middle part, it's just like how, let's see here, for number 8, it's
Yep.
x minus 1 parentheses x plus 4. So for that one, it'd be
Yeah.
x squared minus 4.
No, because remember the middle part, negative 1 times x is negative 1x. The outer part would be 4 times x would be 4x. So you get 4x minus 1x, which would be 3x. So it would be x squared plus 3x minus 4.
I meant for the first step of it. I was like figuring out like the x times x squared minus 4, and then you would take the two middle parts, which would be negative 1x plus 4x, which would be
Perfect. And then you just group those two together. So 4x minus 1x would be 3x. So the final answer is x squared plus 3x minus 4. Tristan.
I think that was the only thing that I didn't understand.
I can't hear you, Haley. What?
I think that was the only thing that I did not understand.
Okay, cool.
If
Remember,
I have
you
any
can
questions, I will.
you can do the odd ones. The answers are in the back of the book as well, too. So if you want to check your work.
So is it 1 through 21 all?
It is 1 through 21 all. Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Cool.
All right, catch you later. Hey, for tomorrow, we're not going to have a live class because we're doing career day. We plan on recording everything and giving you guys a link to it so you can watch it at your leisure.
Okay. I think I'm actually going to talk to the front office and see if I can come in tomorrow for career day because I'd like to see like how
All
it's
right,
set up.
do that. Ask them.
And then for that, do I have to wear my uniform if I come to school?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, catch you later.
Yep.